So today let us take up one or two important editorials from Indian Express and Times of India today. This one is regarding NREGA and Corona in Indian Express, which is important for us again from examination point of view. So what is this editorial regarding? It talks about the importance of NREGA during this Corona crisis. During the Corona crisis. So what are we saying here? If we go back in 2004, UPA came to power. It had come to power on the basis of what we call it as a rights-based approach to development. It had come to power demanding the protection of Aam Aadmi from the forces of capitalism, because even though India was achieving a 9% growth rate, this growth rate was skewed highly in favor of rich sections of society. It has only benefited mostly the urban rich sections of society and middle class, whereas the rural areas suffered during the NDA period, especially for 2 to 3 years of continuous drought between 2000 and 2004. So that is the reason why they had come to the power on the basis of the slogan protecting the interests of Aam Aadmi. As part of it, they had come out with this rights-based approach. One of the important flagship schemes they have announced was NREGA. It was named after Mahatma Gandhi. MG NREGA, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Schemes or Guarantee Act. So as part of this, every household in the rural areas, one person from the household will be provided employment. Minimum days of employment is 100 days. Minimum 100 days of employment, and they will be paid minimum wages also. The minimum wages have increased over a period of time since 2005 onwards, and these minimum wages also vary between the states. Central government will provide these minimum wages. The state governments can always add more money also to these minimum wages. In a state like Haryana, these minimum wages are almost 250 rupees. In other states, it can be 175 rupees. And 100 days of employment will be provided. Why? Because the country is witnessing what we call jobless growth. Jobless growth. The country is mostly has witnessed what we call jobless growth during the periods of liberalization, especially from 1991 onwards. So what we say here is that employment elasticity of growth during the period of liberalization had come down. Employment elasticity of growth. What do you mean by employment elasticity of growth? This is one of the macro economic indicators which says that for every 1% increase in your GDP, what is the increase in percentage increase in your employment? For every 1% increase in your GDP, what is the percentage increase in your employment? That is what we call employment elasticity of growth. So what do we say here is that during the reform period, employment elasticity of growth had come down. Employment elasticity of growth had come down. It is only 0.3% now, 0.33%. That means for every 1% increase in GDP, you are only able to increase employment by 0.33%. This is what we call jobless growth. Jobless growth. Why this jobless growth? For the simple reason that it is the service sector which is contributing maximum to our GDP. It is a service sector which is contributing maximum to our GDP. And this service sector is mostly capital intensive. Capital intensive. That means you don't require much of labor. You don't require much of labor. On the other hand, added to this, what we are witnessing is automation in industrial sector, manufacturing sector, automation. And this automation further reduces employment opportunities. Even for semi-skilled people also, employment opportunities are coming down. Even for semi-skilled people also, employment opportunities are coming down. And not to talk of unskilled population. And not to talk of unskilled population. So for a very long period of time, the country is only witnessing what we call jobless growth. And during Corona, what we have witnessed is job loss growth. During Corona, job loss growth. Jobless growth is different from job loss growth. That means on the one hand, during the Corona times, we are witnessing a very significant growth rate. For example, the government of India will be coming out with a quarterly GDP growth rate also in the next 1 or 2 days. And they are expecting a double-digit growth. But is there any corresponding increase in employment? Obviously not. On top of it, during the 2 years of Corona, many people have lost their jobs also, both skilled as well as semi-skilled and unskilled also. They have lost their jobs during Corona. So this is the situation, and what the editorial points out here is, during this Corona period, it is only the NREGA that had come to the rescue of the people. During Corona period, it is only the NREGA era that has come to the rescue of the people. So here it gives some important statistics which are helpful for us while writing answers. Let us take those important statistics, then we look at the analytical aspects. First, the editorial says that in 2021 era, there was a contraction in Indian economy. That is, Indian economy, the GDP growth rate had actually gone down. GDP growth rate in 2021 had gone down. Right? What was the negative growth rate? Minus 7%, 7.4, 7, whatever it may be, the government, whatever it says. Right? And it says that in 2022, in 21-22, economy has recovered sharply. It has recovered sharply, and it has ended up with 1.5% growth rate above pre-pandemic levels. 1.5% above pre-pandemic levels. In 21-22, the growth rate is 1.5% above pre-pandemic levels. And this year we are expecting a 7.2% growth rate. This year we are expecting a 7.2% growth rate. And it makes India one of the fastest growing economies in the world. It makes India one of the fastest growing economies in the world. But what is the problem then? The problem is that this recovery is not even. It is what we call uneven recovery, uneven growth. This recovery is not even or inclusive. It is not even or inclusive. And it only led to widening inequalities. It led to only widening inequalities. This recovery only led to widening inequalities. Widening inequalities. Right? How? Let us see here. In 2019-20, that is before the pandemic, 7.8 crore people worked under NREGA. 7.8 crores, 7 crore 88 lakhs got employment under NREGA. 2021, that was the pandemic year. 2021, it has increased to 11.19 crores. 11.19 crores. And 21-22, it has reduced, it has declined to 10.62 crores. 10.62 crores. And in the current financial year, more than 6.3 crores have already worked under NREGA. More than 6.3 crores. During the same period last year, it was 6.2 crores. That means more than 10 lakh people have opted for NREGA. During the same period last year, it was 6.2 crores. Right? Last year, during the same period, 6.2 crores have got employment under NREGA. Now it is 6.3 crores, 10 lakh people. Another indicator of this economic distress, is the National Crime Records Bureau report. National Crime Records Bureau report. Right? What the report says is that in 2021, suicides by daily wage earners have increased. Daily wage laborers. Suicides by daily wage laborers has increased. Almost 1/4 of suicides, 25% of suicides are committed by only daily wage laborers. 1/4 of suicides are committed by daily wage laborers. I don't know what UPSC people are doing. Right? Right? Here also they are not competing. You need competitive spirit, which is missing here. Right? Then it also says that in 21-22, more than 2.3 crore people, have surrendered their insurance policies. 2.3 crore people have surrendered their insurance policies. And another important statistics about the rising inequalities is the number of sales of two-wheelers. The amount of sales of two-wheelers has come down by 25%. It has come down by 25% in 21-22. In 21-22 compared to 19-20 pre-pandemic levels. 21-22 compared to 19-20 pre-pandemic levels. Similarly, car sales, four-wheelers, which are less than 10 lakh rupees. Car sales, whose price is less than 10 lakh rupees, they have grown only by 7%. Car sales whose price is less than 10 lakh rupees, they have grown only by 7%. Whereas those car sales, those automobile sales, which are priced above 10 lakh rupees, have increased by 38%. They have increased by 38%. Right? They have increased by 38%. So this is what the editorial points out. It says that how Corona crisis had deepened the challenges related to inclusive growth. So what we are saying here is that on the floor of the House sometime back, our Prime Minister also was making fun of Corona. Sorry, he was making fun of NREGA. He said that NREGA is the best example of the systematic corruption of the previous UPA government. But what is happening here is why the number of days and number of people seeking employment and under NREGA has gone up? For the simple reason that there are no jobs in the private sector. On the one hand, we have one jobless growth, and during Corona, job loss growth also. That is the reason why you can see huge amount of demand for NREGA. And other indicators, as we have mentioned, when the more than 2.3 crore people have surrendered their insurance policies before the expiry of their term. Why? Because when do you surrender your insurance policies? When you don't have money, right? You know you'll be losing some amount of money, but what can you do? You don't have the money to survive, to feed your families. Similarly, other statistics we have given here is daily wage earners. Almost 1/4 of the suicides are committed by only daily wage earners. And the number of sales of two-wheelers and automobiles whose price is less than 10 lakh rupees also have not been very high. These are all the things which clearly show that we are far from reaching what is called inclusive growth. Now let us focus on NREGA. Since we are talking about here, let us focus on NREGA. As we have said, we started NREGA in 2005. Even 2022 also, NREGA has become very significant. Even in 2022 also. That means 17 years. Even after 17 years also, when you are only looking up to NREGA, to provide employment to the people, what does it mean? What does it mean? It means that a complete failure of the state to ensure what we call job-led growth. Why people are willing to work for minimum wages under NREGA? For example, if you are working as a construction worker, you will be getting at least 300 rupees per day construction, right? 400 also. Must have worked, right? No, it's good. Acha, you have business. Very good. Very good. And I thought that other way around, right? Right? No problem. Nothing. It is good also, right? So 400 rupees and NREGA are paying only 225 rupees. Still, why people are coming? Because why? Because the government has not been able to create employment. What we call this job-led growth has been a failure. One of the major failures of the government is to create employment to the people. Now, job-led growth and job-loss growth, all those things we can discuss for some other day. Let us focus on NREGA. Even after 22 years, what have we achieved through NREGA? What did we achieve through NREGA? The objective of NREGA, one, to create infrastructure, assets. Second one, to provide employment. These are the two important objectives of NREGA: to create assets and to provide employment. To create assets and to provide employment. Now the problem here is that we don't know whether we have created the assets or not. We don't know whether we have created the assets or not. We don't know whether we have created the assets or not. Right? Why? Because till now there is no audit of assets created by NREGA. In fact, recently the government of India has said that they will be forced to stop NREGA in states like Chhattisgarh. You must have seen in the newspapers also. Why? Because systematic corruption. In Chhattisgarh, for 15 years continuously, when the social audit was done, in Chhattisgarh, when this social audit was done, for 15 years continuously, they have constructed the same well in a well-defined manner. For 15 years continuously, they have constructed the same well, and they were withdrawing the money, and they were paying the wages. Contractors also were getting the money. Everything was there, except that there was no well after 15 years also. This is how NREGA is done. Systematic corruption. Systematic corruption. In some villages, population of the village is 5,000. NREGA job cards are 20,000. Basically, fake job cards. Next problem with the NREGA is it a welfare scheme or part of a capital expenditure? The government treats it only as a welfare scheme. That is the reason why there is no creation of assets under NREGA. No audit is done when it comes to creation of assets under NREGA, because the government treats it as only a welfare scheme. This NREGA had origins in 1975, Indira Gandhi emergency. When Indira Gandhi imposed emergency in 1975, she had to justify the emergency in the name of socialism. So she had come out with a scheme called Food for Work. She had come out with a scheme called Food for Work. That means you work and the government will give you either food or some amount of money to buy the food. And Indira Gandhi's daughter-in-law, Sonia Gandhi, had expanded this scheme and called it as NREGA. NREGA. Now, the question that we are asking here is it possible for the government to provide employment to people? Employment to all people. Is it possible for the government to provide employment to all people in the country? All persons in the country? Is it possible? Can the government be the employment provider, job giver? Right? And this is where we have to question NREGA. For how long? So in the last 17 years, if you look at, on an average, if you take at least, every year you are spending at least 60,000 crores. How much you have spent in the last 17 years? 17 into 60. 17 into 6. 6, 7. How much? 10 lakhs? Yes, you have spent around 10 lakh crores. You have spent around 10 lakh crores. In the last 7 years, you have spent around, 17 years, 10 lakh crores. What have you achieved by spending 10 lakh crores? In fact, the same people are again demanding job every year. Same people are demanding job every year. Right? The same persons are demanding jobs every year. So, for how long can the government provide jobs? For how long the government can provide jobs? And for how long this kind of schemes can be sustained? For how long these kind of schemes can be sustained? The question that we have to ask. Is it possible for the government to sustain these kind of schemes forever? And where do you get money for these schemes? Again, through borrowings or through taxes. So what is the solution then? What is the solution then? What could be the solution then? Right? Can we stop NREGA? If you stop NREGA, what happens? More suicides. Simple. People simply don't have money. If you stop NREGA, they don't have money and there will be more suicides. If you continue NREGA, it will only be a drain on limited resources of the country, financial resources of the country. Then what is the solution? What can be done? What is the solution? Yes. Provide? Yes. That is what we say. Through NREGA, what we are doing is that we are providing what we call employment to unskilled labor. We are providing employment to unskilled labor. So every year you have to provide because they don't have any skills. Every year you have to provide. You cannot provide. That is the reason why we study in economics that instead of creating employment, the government should focus on creating employers. That is what we say. That is what the solution. Instead of creating employment, the government should focus on creating employers. They should focus on creating employers. Right? What do you mean by that? Please remember these questions were asked both in your economy as well as Indian administration, whatever we are discussing. So what the government can do through NREGA is provide skills to the people. As and when any economy develops, there will always be demand for skilled personnel. Skills does not mean, the problem is that in India we think that jobs means only software, IT jobs. That is not the case. There are so many other jobs. For example, in urban areas you need electricians, you need carpenters, you need other skilled personnel. Provide skills to them so that they become employers by themselves, self-employment. Through NREGA, provide skills to them. Through Skill in India program, you give them more skills. Through Startup India, give them money. Through Make in India, let them become entrepreneurs, so that they will say get lost India finally. Right? That is what the solution is. NREGA should be converted into a skill-based program. Ask them to identify the skills which they want to get trained, and then provide training to them. 100 days means you can definitely make a person a skilled person. If not 100 days, give them 150 days and pay the wages and also teach them the skills. That is what you have to do. Convert NREGA into a skill-based program and integrate all the other schemes. We have a program called Skill India. We also have a program called National Rural Livelihood Mission, NRLM. Integrate all these programs, allocate the money, and have better training in all these vocational skills, and then integrate these programs with Startup India, so that they will get the finances to start their own industries. And through Make in India, give them incentives also. This is what the solution. The same question was asked in your economy 3 years back for I think 20 marks. Right? This is what you have to write for these kind of questions. So that is what, and I thought that I can discuss 1 or 2 more tutorials also, but the time is over. Tomorrow we will continue with the rest of the tutorials. Every day we'll take up one topic and we'll do the things. Right? Why? I did not get you. Weber, labor. Why labor suicides more in UP? See, very simple. Economic distress. The reason why there are more suicides are because of economic distress. Why people are committing suicide? When they realize that there is no light at the end of the tunnel, they get into depression. That is when they commit suicide also. Why? Because UP is one of the poorest states in India. UP is one of the poorest states. See, when you have to live, tomorrow you need some kind of hope that your life will be better. When there is no hope, then you will commit suicide. Right? That is the reason. There is no hope. There is no hope that tomorrow will be better than today. That is when people commit suicide. And most of these suicides are, if you go by the psychology, they are mostly committed at the spur of the moment. They feel like committing and they do it. There is not much of a thought also goes into it. Yes, UP is the top. Yes. Maybe that is what economic distress. Economic distress. That is the reason. Yes. Pardon? Urban NREGA. I can understand. You are talking from your own perspective. You will be attending coaching only for around 6 months. Remaining 6 months, what will you do? I can understand. Yes. Even I also require NREGA, urban NREGA. Myself and Rahul Gandhi. Both of us are competing. You will be towards the end in the line of hierarchy. First is Rahul Gandhi, second myself. Right? We should have. Yes. Yes, you take all those surveys with as much salt as you want. How they calculate unemployment. These are the technical things. Unemployment is calculated on the basis of weekly status, then 15 days, monthly status, quarterly status. So what is the parameter they are calculating? That is what, because if you look at it during the monsoon season, there will be a lot of work. That is when unemployment will come down.